last week, Ben made the point that Randy Cross is the worst broadcaster in football. And I'd like to say,
the gentleman is wrong!
Now, for a long time, it had been Phil Simms that was the reigning champion. And Ben made a compelling point about Randy Cross last week, not understanding the rules of football.
Just to be clear, I didn't say Randy Cross was the worst. He's the most buffoonish.
Okay, that's a slight distinction, but an important distinction.
I mean, because with Phil Simms, with greater responsibility comes
greater shame,
greater foolishness. Right.
It is a shame! A shame!
What Phil Simms does.
I mean,
what
Randy Cross did last week, insisting that a team punt with down a couple of points with a minute 20 to play and one timeout when everyone knew the other team would just run out the clock. And then when he realized it, admitted that they should punt. And I know the clock would run out, but still. I mean, it's indefensible. So I don't think you can argue that you can't make a dumber point than that. You're just taking Phil Simms for the body of work.
Yeah, he's got a tremendous body of work of incompetence and obsequiousness.
Right, it's more obsequiousness than incompetence. It's more unbearableness.
Right, yeah, it's all compounded. But what did he do this week? So they're doing the Steelers-Ravens game, and it's the second to last drive of the game for the Ravens. It appears to be the last drive.
Right.
There's very little time left. They're driving. They're within the Steelers between the 20 and 30-yard line.
Behind by 4 points.
It's 14-10. So now it's 3rd and 15. Everybody believes they're going to go for it on 4th down. I think anybody who knows football thinks they're going to go for it on 4th down. They don't necessarily expect to get the ball back. And Phil Simms says on 3rd and 15, oh, they got to run the ball, get an extra couple of yards. To what end?
To set up 4th and 11?
To kick a field goal, to lose 14-13? What sense does that make, right? And it's because Phil Simms is so conservative by nature, not by politics, but by nature,
right?
That he's like, when in doubt, run the ball for 2 yards, right? Run it for 2 yards, but why? You need to get the first down to score.
Run it for 2 yards so that common sense fans and observers could say, oh, that's a puzzling decision. And then he could say, no, it's a totally acceptable, brilliant decision. So there's an opportunity to defend. It's like ahead of time, he was looking to praise someone for doing nothing, which is really his bread and butter.
Exactly. So now that was frustrating. And by the way, what happened? The Ravens actually passed and got a first down.
True. Weird.
Right. So now, but I wouldn't have even brought it up and, tried to go over the top of Randy Cross based on that. But, he goes to his bread and butter. So a couple of things happened during the game. One time, they showed an offensive lineman holding, and he's like, oh, that was a good hold.
Yeah, he's incapable. You
can't say that's a good hold.
My exposure to Phil Simms, and we've talked about this, was his appearance on Letterman. Yeah. And Letterman asked him, it was his first year as the lead analyst for CBS, and Letterman asked him of the top AFC quarterbacks, maybe of all the quarterbacks in football, but CBS doing the AFC, so asked him, who's the best quarterback in football? It's such a logical question to ask the lead analyst, former Super Bowl winning quarterback. And Simms was like, oh, there's so many good ones I couldn't say. It's no big deal. It's the initial answer. And Letterman's like, yeah, but who would you take? Yeah, the number 1 pick. Who do you take? He's like, oh, I don't know. A lot of great ones. He's like, okay, one game. Who's the guy you want? He's like, well, you got some young ones, some old ones. And then Letterman's like, all right, you got to win the Super Bowl. One game. Do you go with Manning? I don't know if Manning was even in the league then. Or do you go Elway? Is it Marino? Who do you take? I don't know. These guys are paying me. I wouldn't want to pick one over the other. You're just like, what do you?
Okay.
It's okay to say John Elway.
Yeah, or Dan Marino,
or
whatever,
or Peyton Manning,
or Brett Favre.
Or
just
pick
Manning. One.
It's okay.
Pick one. Okay, because the problem is he doesn't want to offend anyone.
Right.
He thinks, and maybe accurately so, that his job is to kiss everyone's ass, and that will continue. Then he will continue as lead analyst, which it turns out is kind of true, right? So even when a lineman is caught holding, he's like, brilliant hold. Nicely done, right? Okay, but if that weren't enough, but it's in his nature, right? So Jim Nantz says to him, oh, you're doing this game, but then you got to go up to New York afterwards because you're part of the halftime ceremony there between the Giants and the Bears. He's like, are you going to get there in time? Just chit-chat, right? Phil Simms is like, oh, yes, absolutely, because we have a great transportation system. Come on, man.
He doesn't mean at CBS. He means in America.
I guess.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, wait, I got confused. Who am I supposed to compliment in this scenario? Because I got to compliment somebody, right? That's what I do. I got to kiss somebody's ass. Now, Phil Simms, unbearable, goes over the top of Randy Cross, regains his #1 spot as the worst broadcaster in America.